Savvy Business Radio, drawing out the best from our guests with our host, Christina Nichman.
Our guest today is Piyush Patel, school teacher turned entrepreneur and founder of Digital Tutors. After turning $54 into a multi-million-dollar exit, he now works with company leaders to create a culture that matters. Today he shares his latest book with us, Lead Your Tribe, Love Your Work. Get your very own copy today at leadlovetribe.com. Hi, Piyush. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you betcha. This couldn't come at a better time. March happens to be Employee Appreciation Day. That was March 2nd. We have passed it but this is something that's important all year round. And I work as a business financial consultant. I've gone into a number of businesses that, as I told you before the interview, have the utmost regard for wanting to put a awesome product out into the market to help not only their employees' lives, but their customers. And sometimes they fall short. And the reason they do is that there's maybe a toxic employee or two. And you know, the culture's gotten out of hand and they don't know how they got to where they are. And they're thrown for a loop and they're like, how do I get my company back? And you've gone through similar experiences coming out of becoming a professor and then starting your own company and then things kind of unraveling not the way you hoped and thinking, how do I get my company back? So you're going to share your experiences today and how we can get a handle on building a great building a great culture in our company. Before we go to sharing all of that, share with our audience a little bit about your background and how you came to creating your new best-selling book, Lead Your Tribe, Love Your Work.
Well, you know, I was a sixth grade science teacher, so I was not prepared to really join the business world the way I did. From sixth grade science, I went on to being a college professor, and it's really hard to raise a family being a teacher. It's just really hard. And I had this huge passion for visual effects and movies and video games, and so I started teaching people how to make movies and video games. And it just started off as this little, project in the spare bedroom of our house. I started the business with $54. We bootstrapped it. We took on no investors. We took on no debt. And we grew that business to $10 million in revenue at 65% EBITDA. So very healthy.
Wow.
And I get a call one day, and 6 weeks later, my company was acquired for $45 million in cash. And so totally living the American dream, right?
Yeah.
But to do that, we had to rely on really talented, smart people. And I'm based in Oklahoma City. So Oklahoma City is not the tech capital of the world, unfortunately. So having 42 full-time employees and 500 contractors all around the world, we only lost 12 people over 14 years. We only turned over 12 people. And in tech, that is unheard of. I mean, most tech companies are going to turn 12 people over this week.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I see that all the time.
We held our people and took care of them and really grew this business through culture. And so that's really what the book is about.
Yeah. And it really, really hit me because when you first got your business started, as a lot of us entrepreneurs do, is you were working around the clock practically and your wife was helping. You had two best friends working with you. And we all think, hey, this is going to be like a piece of cake. I'm going to use my gifts and talents. I'm going to create this business and I'm going to get a bunch of great people to work with me. And it's just going to be, well, not easy, but it's going to be loads of fun. And it was fun at first, but it also started to take a drain on you. Did it take a drain on the rest of your health and your family? And how did you begin to get your business back and realize, okay, something has to change?
The real defining moment for me was I walked into the office one day and my wife said to me, hey, we're not going to be able to make payroll.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay, how short are we? And she's like, pretty short. Nothing's come through. It's not going to happen. And I'm a very goal-driven guy, and I grew up really, without much. I'm fairly poor, and so for me, cars are my trophy. And when I turn 30, I'm going to own a Corvette. And I was taking pictures of this Corvette that I had worked so hard to get to put in the local magazine to sell. Had the ad written, and I was ready to sell my car. And my wife was like, "Are you really going to sell this car to make payroll?" I was like, "Lisa, we can't If we don't pay our people, they're not going to trust us.
Yeah.
And so I took out the ad, and I actually had calls coming in to come look at it. And that day we had a huge order go through.
Whoa.
And we paid payroll. But the reality of it was, I walked in that next day and I saw kind of this flippant attitude of, nah, whatever, you know. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I was willing to put everything on the line.
Now, wait a second. Can I stop you? You saw a flippant attitude from who, though?
From my employees. Right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that was the real moment of, wait a minute, we've got to really align here, right? Mm-hmm. I've got to teach my employees how business works. Up until then, it was, you know, we were a closed book. I was like, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to be an open book. People need to know that we're going to fall off the edge well before we start to fall off the edge. I can't be the only one who knows that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we went to open book. We really worked on our core values. My wife and I were like, look, what are our core values? Because that's what our business core values are, right? Uh-huh. People will come and go, but we're going to be the constant. And we really just sat down and defined, this is how we're going to play. I don't want to walk into an office where people are yelling at each other. I don't want everyone to hear people's voices raised. This is how we're going to treat each other. And then work started to get fun because I was able to set the boundaries of how we're going to play. And then it's just a game. Then we're playing the game of business.
I love this. How do you think companies get to a point where, you know, there is maybe screaming or hollering on the floor and people not getting along or flippant attitudes? Where does that come from?
It comes from the leadership. I'm a big believer. The leader is the lid. And so, you know, if there's chaos in the organization, it's probably because your leadership is in chaos. Okay.
Let's tell the truth here.
I tell people, look, if you're interviewing for a company and you feel like, wow, this was really great, before you walk out of there, ask if you can go to the restroom. If the restroom is in a disarray and there's no toilet paper, that's the kind of team you're walking into, because they've got an attitude that this is not my problem.
Oh my gosh.
That's the kind of company you want to work for. You want to work for a company where everybody's pitched in to solve the problem. And, oh, there's toilet paper out. Let me fix that.
Oh, I love that. It's the kind of attitude, and I've hated this, no matter how many places I've worked at, either as an employee or as a consultant, to walk in and hear people say, I don't get paid enough for that. I was like, what are you talking about? You get a job. One of my ex-bosses used to say, if I tell you to go out there with a potato, cut it open and start cleaning windows with a potato, that's your job for today, okay? You get whatever it does to make the company run most efficiently. And so that was in my early 20s. So I've taken that attitude that, you know, we're all here to make whatever happen, you know, make the company be the best it can be together. And so, you know, I've always tried to push beyond whatever my job description is. Whatever they said, okay, you're just doing this. I'm like, or what else more can I do to make everyone's life better so we can all pitch in?
Absolutely. And I talk about this in the book, something we call BAM. And it really boils down to that young lady who said, wow, I don't get paid enough for that.
Yes.
It's not about the money. That's what most entrepreneurs dial in and go, okay, well, you want more?
Yeah.
Once you're paid enough, more is nice, but it's not critical. It really comes down to this acronym BAM. BAM stands for belonging, affirmation, and meaning. That's all people want. They want to belong. And so, hey, everybody takes care of the bathroom. And I called them the toilet paper bandit. I walked in one day and there was no toilet paper. And that was my realization of, okay, in this moment, that's pretty vulnerable for most people.
Wow.
You not only took the last piece, like you got an auditory and visual confirmation, you took the last piece, but you consciously made a decision. I don't really care about the next person coming in. And there are no public people in our office. We're a private office. So you consciously made a decision that maybe the person next to me, I don't really care about. And so I gathered everybody up and said, look, this is how it works. If I go in after you and there's no toilet paper, this is your last day. And I don't really care how valuable you are to the organization. You're probably undermining everything that we're trying to build.
Whoa. Yeah.
And I just laid the gauntlet. This is how it's going to work, folks.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I love that and I love your mentioned leadership, because as many places I've been, I get together management first. I want to hear what is important to them. What do they feel from their perspective isn't working? And a lot of times they think it's processes, maybe a couple employees. But then when I start talking to employees, there's this disconnect between the people who are managing or running and the people who are actually the higher hands. They feel like, well, I'm not appreciated. I come in, I work 16 hours, I'm at my desk.
Right.
But I sometimes don't think, are y'all working smart? Because I don't think any employee should have to work 16 hours. What's going on here? And so when you mentioned BAM, I really like that, because the belonging, affirmation, and meaning, it's like they want to feel they belong to, that they matter, that they're not just a number that could be replaced. And
if you're eating lunch at your desk, if you, like, I walk into companies that I consult for all the time now, and really it's just, I don't know what to do with myself. I tried to retire at 40 and it's boring as heck. All my friends are doing, work and cool projects. So I've thrown myself back into writing and speaking and consulting. And when I walk into organizations, if I smell food at people's desks and they're eating their lunch, that is a real indicator that they are terrible at planning their time. They're terrible at processes, and they're probably terrible at getting stuff done, because they have warped their sense of reality, thinking, I can't get off of my desk because I have so much work. But you're also eating. Like, how are you getting work done if you're eating?
Yeah.
And so you're not building relationships. You're not connecting with people. You're not, you're not being efficient in the time that you're spending.
I love that we're going here, Posh, because I talked to a company this week. It was so interesting. Who said to me, I said, so what is it like here as far as, people's breaks? Do they get vacation time? Share with me. Do people take lunch breaks? Oh, no. If people are even concerned with lunch, well, then they're not really concerned with their work. We want them to be focused on work. And, well, if they have to eat something, that's fine. They could eat at their desk. And they said, but we of course don't tell them they can't have lunch, because that's the law. But they basically have told the employees, you get 1/2 hour. We'll sometimes be flexible if you need a little bit extra time, but you get 1/2 hour. And I don't know where employees got this idea that more time spent at the desk equals more productivity. Because what I saw going from person to person and talking with them is they think they're totally invaluable, but it felt to me that they were trying to sell themselves as valuable. But when I watched them work, they were busy work. It was kind of like, I have to look busy for 9 hours because they've told me I can't leave my desk and have lunch, but I'm not really working.
Yep.
So where do you think that mindset comes from, that more sitting at the desk or more quote unquote working equals more productivity?
It's an illusion. I mean, I think when you walk into an office and you see everybody busy, well, then work must be happening. And it's really easy to fall into that trap that work equals productivity. I don't think they're connected. I think productivity is one thing and busy work is another.
Yes.
And then people learn to play the game. And so how much belonging or meaning do you get out of your work knowing that you're gaming the system? I'd rather have an open conversation around, hey, how long do you think this job is going to take? It's going to take this long? Awesome. I'll see you when it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I like that you mentioned you came to a big realization for is that you realize, what exactly are my foundations at my company? What are the core values that hold us together? And you had to actually get clear about that. And I think if you were to ask most people or most businesses, most entrepreneurs, they probably don't have a clear picture of what are your core values and your company values.
Yeah. And oftentimes the first project that I work on with companies is, let's go over these. And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, almost 10 out of 10, they are aspirational core values, right? Things like quality and customer service. And so honesty. And I go, okay, let's talk about those 3 real quick. Cause I just worked on these last week. I said, okay, quality. Have you ever had to have a situation where you had to rush out a product because a client needed it ASAP and you didn't get to QA it? Oh yeah, all the time.
Oy.
So quality is really not that important. They're like, well, but we strive for quality. All right, so that's totally aspirational and totally BS, because your employees know you say quality, but what you really mean is fast.
Yes.
So just say we are fast, right?
Yeah,
I was like, honesty. Do you ever lie to a customer? And they're like, well, we try not to. I go, but do you? Yeah. Do your employees lie to customers? And then a lie may be, we're out of material. No, we're just delayed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. but you're empowering these employees who, in one hand, you say, be honest. And on the other actionable hand, you say, now lie if you have to. Well, just say, we'll solve your problem, right?
Yeah.
And if you want pathological liars in your organization, make sure that your core value is we're pathological liars. You will attract the best liars in the business, right? But when you say honesty and you attract honest employees, but then you ask them to be pathological liars, they don't function. And then, leadership goes, we have terrible employees. We're not hitting our numbers. They're just doing busy work. Well, we've got to attract the right people, and we attract them with the right core values.
Yeah. Wow. You, when you mentioned the honesty, that just totally blew me, because I recall many years ago, I was consulting at a company, and they had said some of their core values, one of them being honesty and transparency, a big one in the corporate world, transparent. We're transparent. Yeah. And a lot of times it's bull. But they had told me that, hey, one of their core values is honesty. They want everyone to be honest. But we were going through a process they were going through where they were not meeting their numbers. They could not do the orders on time. And they got to a point where, hey, we're not going to make all our payroll and all our bills if we don't start asking for a 50% deposit from our clients, the ones that even gave an order already, and they hadn't done 50% deposit. Now, my suggestion as a financial consultant is not just take credit from people if you don't know they can pay, because a lot of times they were backing out of the order. So I said, okay, to have them put skin in the game, we do a credit check on them, which I got them set up with a credit process. But I said, we also have to make sure that they have the available funds to uphold the order and to put down a 50% deposit, so they have the skin in the game, that they can't go later on like, we don't really need that now. And then you're out. So anyway, they had said, that's great, but we might lose employees. But they got to a point, they said, I love your 50% deposit thing. How about we just use it now for all of our employees, even the ones that have orders out that we didn't even tell them they needed 50% deposit, because now we can't make our bills. I said, no. You can't go to your customers and start telling them to pay your bill. No. We're going to tell them that their order's ready, even though it's not, so we can get the 50% deposit. And I was like, whoa. You can't have your employees do that. You know what you're going to do? Not only to your employees' trust in you, but your your customers' trust, when they realize that they're not going to get their order in like 6 weeks, that they're going to get it in like 3 months. I mean, you're going to destroy your entire base, your client base, including your employee base. And they didn't listen. They were out of business in a year. But wow, that just goes to show how important it is knowing your core values and then standing by them.
That's right.
Wow. Now, tell me, how have you, for yourself and your company, but also working with others as a consultant, identify toxic environments or a toxic company, and how do you begin to address it and make it better?
Well, I always ask leadership, hey, when things go bad, who's the first person to start pointing fingers? And I'm gonna guess that when things are going great, they're the first person to take credit. And they say, yep. And I go, and I bet you $5 you haven't done anything about it, because they're a quote A player. And they're like, oh, such a high producer. Yep. Yeah. Now, how much actual production are you losing because of that one toxic employee? Wow. This is a person who does not play by the rules, does not like the core values, is not a team player, but they produce. And every week their numbers are a little bit brighter than everybody else's, so they always get this little pass. But what happens is, as an organization, everybody in the organization understands that person gets a pass for being a jerk. Wow. So the only way that I can move up is I've got to become a jerk. And then you start to breed a very toxic environment versus leadership saying, this is not how we play, right? I used to do incentives and spiffs, and as entrepreneurs, you're trying to motivate, so you try to come up with all these schemes. And I realized I'm the one who is getting played. I think Simon Sinek says, what gets measured gets cheated. And I saw that. I saw like, hey, can we get this order put through? Oh, but I've already hit my quota. I'm just going to save it for next month. And I'm thinking, I got bills this month, not next month. Oh, wow. Right? And so people play the game. Well, I don't get anything extra for closing it this month, so I'm going to build them all up and close them next month, which doesn't align with the business. So I just went in one day and said, look, this is what we paid you last year with bonuses. That's what I'm going to make your base this year. I expect you to work really hard. If you don't hit your numbers, then that's on you. And there's no more spiffs. We're trying to close business as quick as possible. Here's how our business runs and the cycles of business. And all of a sudden, everybody started playing.
Wow. Now, what does spiff mean exactly?
Well, just a little extra bonus for hitting your numbers, or I'll give you a little extra this. And I realized that those little extra things, those folks aren't real loyal folks, right? They're just looking for the extra thing from anybody who will give it to them. And I work in a business where the domain knowledge is so valuable that, a person leaving costs us a lot because we have to get the next person up to speed.
And I think I've heard that for a basic company, no matter what company it is, no matter what employee it is, you lose, even with the time of HR going out there to hunt someone down, interview them, interrupt everyone's day, minimum $7,000, and to retrain and get that person up to speed. So, a company's losing a huge amount of money if they think, okay, I can just, I had one company that just said, hey, that one sucked, I'll just use the next one. And it was like a revolving door. I mean, they went through an insane amount of employees in 1 year. And I had to tell them, all right, something's wrong here, because they can't all suck, okay? Yeah, so that's a big one, realizing, okay, why are they all leaving, and what are we going to do to keep them? What, for you, did you see for employees made it the biggest motivation? Because we've already said it's not money. So what is the biggest motivation for keeping them there?
Right. So a real tight connection to leadership.
Okay.
People want to work for people, right? People don't quit jobs, they quit people. And that's 100% true. Nobody has ever quit a job, right? People will do really difficult things if they believe in the people they're doing it for.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Nobody would ever go to war. Who wants to sign up for that? Well, they believe in an ideal. They believe in the person they're working for, that this is the right thing to do, and they go do it. And so companies are no different, right? We do lots of hard work. We put our careers on the line, but we do it for people. And when people are jerks, people leave, right?
Wow. Yes.
When people go, you know what, I'm working for you, but you don't see me as a person, you'll hear things like, I'm just not being challenged. Well, what that really means is my leader keeps giving me this garbage work to do, and I can do it with my eyes closed. Why don't they see me as a person that can do more? So I developed this thing we call the 3 happies. And it's a quick way to create belonging, affirmation, and meaning every single day. So this is how this works. And it costs nothing, right? It costs 5 minutes a time, if that, and some Post-it pads. Okay. So imagine you're a team of 5 people. Every morning, we get together at 9 o'clock. Our office starts at 9. We get together at 9 o'clock on the dot. You could set your watches to 9 o'clock because you would see everybody scurry into their groups. Groups of 5 or 6, small groups. And on this Post-it note, there are 5 things that are on this Post-it note. So if you're looking at your Post-it note, in the top left, you're going to write your name. And the top right, you're going to write the date. And then you're going to write 3 things. So the first 2 are 2 things that made you happy in the past 24 hours and 1 thing personally that made you happy in the past 24 hours. Now, there's a lot of research that's been done on mindfulness. There's a lot of research that's been done on the Tetris effect. If your listeners want to read all about that, you can share a link with a number of papers written about something called the Tetris effect, which really means whatever you do repetitively, you can't turn it off. So if you're a lawyer and your job is to identify and critique work all day long, you're going to look at a contract and go, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, we're trying to get screwed here. What do you think you're going to do when you get home and your 4-year-old is like, look, I made this. It's hard to not be critical and criticize it.
Gotcha.
Because you've done it all day. So what this activity does is it flushes your memory of any negative thing at work that happened in the past 24 hours, because you're trying to look at your memory Rolodex and go, what was really good that happened yesterday? And so we get together at 9 o'clock and we share these. And then we gather them up and we put them in an area where everybody's going to walk by, which for us was right by the kitchen, right? Our kitchen bathroom suite. We would put them on this glass wall. And so I, as the owner, and I would tell all of the leadership team, walk by at least once a day and quickly scan for one little detail, name and date. I would scan them all, name, date, name, date, name, date. And almost every week I would find one that would be date, name. And so say if it was you, I would read your 3 things. I would say, okay, you got this interview that you've been really working hard to get done, and you got the marketing package wrapped up yesterday, and your personal happy was Walking Dead's back on. So I would read that, and I would come visit you. I'd say, hey, Christina, real quick, I am so excited about Walking Dead being back on. All of a sudden, you and I now just created a connection, right? And I'm going to tell you, hey, congratulations on getting that marketing package done. I know you've been really working hard on that. And you're going to say, oh, wow. Okay, thanks. I'm going to go, hey, by the way, we always put name and date, right? Please be really conscious of that.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to put it back on you. What's your thought process if I walked up to you and A, connected with you, but B, told you, hey, it's really important that you put your name and date, not date and name.
Okay. I would probably think, oh crap, I screwed up.
Yeah.
You know, if I was new, I would probably think, oh no, I didn't follow the rules. Crap.
Right?
Yeah.
But let's say there's an organization of 50 people.
Okay.
And the CEO walked up to you. You're going to go, wow, he reads my tickets.
He even cared.
He cared, right?
Yeah.
And really the message I'm trying to share with you is details matter, right? Big mistakes are just a bunch of little details that fell apart. There's no big mistakes, right? You don't just like, oh, my business is going to go into bankruptcy. That didn't happen. Like, that's not a moment that happened.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of little moments that now has become a big problem.
Wow.
So if I can stop you at 9:15 in the morning and say, hey, Christina, details really matter. Just remember it's name and date. You're probably going to get your head back in the game, and you're going to be a little bit more conscious of the day, right?
Ooh.
Versus, hey, you've done this for weeks. Why today? You know, and if you did it and nobody caught it, nobody cared. You're also like, oh, nobody cares, right? Nobody reads my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So,
and what this from
social media.
Wow. I love that you bring this up, because I remember when I was studying flying, my teacher had said to me, no crash happens with one little mistake. It's usually a bunch of mistakes that kind of build up on top of each other till bam, you've crashed.
That's right.
But what I really, really liked about it is that, you know, the teacher also would do things really like to shock your attention, not to be mean, but to help you realize, like, what he did once for me is I'd have my logbook and also my, doing the pre-flight. So I'd have everything, my chart, my list to go through the pre-flight. And I'm going through it. And at one point I put the chart on top of the airplane to go look at something like the tire. And then we finish the rest of the pre-flight. I get in the airplane. And before we get in the airplane, my teacher says to me, is there anything weird? Always step back and look at the airplane and say, is there anything out of place? I'm like, no, everything looks fine to me. He's like, okay, let's go. Let's get in the airplane. So now we have to do the pre-flight check inside the airplane. And as we're about to do that, he's like, okay, so where's your checklist? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, look outside. And then you look outside, it's right on top of the nose of the airplane. And he said, that's why I told you to step back and pay attention to the details. Now, it made me really embarrassed because, you know, we went the whole spiel. I got in the airplane, and this is no easy feat, because in this airplane, you have to go through one door, and the pilot has to step over, and then the instructor sit down, and now he has to get out and I have to get out past him. Anyway, it's a big to-do. So he's like, now you're not going to forget, are you? And so now I understand what you did with this employee was not only to show her that, hey, I pay attention and I care, but that the little things matter.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's totally awesome, Posh. Well, this has been such a fascinating call, and I'm really hoping it'll get all the business owners listening in jived up, and anyone who actually works at a business to look at their business and say, hey, how can I be a better employee? How can I add more value to my company and be one that makes my company grow? And if it's a place where I'm not growing, maybe I can find a place that will have core values that matches my own, and I'm so excited to get up to and go to.
That's right.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Pasha. And we're going to get a copy of your great bestseller book, Lead Your Tribe, Love Your Work. We're going to get a copy of that and work with you, because you say you also work as a consultant.
I do. So you can find the book on Amazon. All the airports have it. Barnes & Noble has it. So lots of places have it. You can connect with me through my website, Lead Love Tribe. And all my social media contacts are there, and love to connect with your listeners and stay connected with you. If there's anything I can do for you in the future, please reach out to me.
You betcha. Well, this has been so instrumental and so enlightening. Thank you so much, Piyush, for coming to join us today on Savvy Business Radio.
Thank you.
Savvy Business Radio broadcasts worldwide via a large podcast network, celebrating business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers, and successful individuals. Find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest. Call 732-474-7375 or email Christina@savvybusinessradio.com.